So we'll just knock off verbal. Now the expected weightage of CU-CET and all is something that is not really told to us, but from what we know of the CU-CET, we've got 10 marks for verbal ability and 15 marks for reading and comprehension, which is your passage section, totaling up to 25 marks. So we need to try and figure out what can we expect in questions like questions on verbal ability. Try and expect things like what are the questions possible in a passage, stuff like that. And we'll try and see what is some sort of shortcut, this, that, and all. Mind you, this is purely an indicative session. This is obviously not going to be what you can expect, but I will tell you the areas that you need to focus on and what sorts of preparation is expected from you over the next couple of months. So without further ado, my name is Abhishek. Background not really worth mentioning. I'm just an MBA from Symbiosis, and I have been in the industry for quite a while now, as you can see from the white hair. So I will just go ahead and begin the session. Okay. Now let's go ahead and finish off all of this in a couple of minutes. As we have mentioned, the verbal section is expected to be 10 plus 15, 25, which tells us something crucial, that if half the paper has been assigned sort of to the verbal section overall, then that presents a significant challenge for us, because it's not like we can say, okay, you know what, boss, I'm not going to study vocabulary, or I'm not going to study grammar, or I'm not going to do this, that, and all, and then just, try and get away with the paper. So let's see what sorts of questions we can expect. We can expect questions on vocabulary. We can expect questions on grammar, which I will give you a sort of sample of. We can expect questions on something called reading and comprehension, which is broadly passages. And we can expect questions on something called verbal reasoning. Now, what is verbal reasoning? Again, a sample will come up pretty soon. So what we'll do is we will look at a question that is typically asked in exams. Of course, the way it has been given on the slide is slightly different, but I will tell you how it comes in the exam. So if you have a question like this is called a contextual vocabulary question. In simple terms, a contextual vocabulary question is where you will be given a sentence with a word underlined or in bold or whatever, and you will have 4 options or 5 where they will ask you either the synonym or the antonym of that word, or something like which of these is not a synonym of the underlined word, stuff like that, right? But do I need to know vocabulary, as in do I need to mark up 1,000, 2,000 words to be able to find out the answers to these questions? The answer is partially yes, partially no. Where in such cases, we have the benefit of a sentence. So we can at least take a guess that, okay, this is potentially the direction that this meaning should take. And accordingly, okay, probably this looks like the option, probably that looks like the option. But as we keep saying, because there is negative marking or there is no negative marking, that is really unknown, we need to be careful. If there is, don't answer the question if you have a doubt. If there isn't, great, you can take a guess. Then, of course, if there is no negative marking, how do I take a guess? We play our favorite game. Eeny, meeny, miny, and mo. So there is no real option. If you are not sure about the options, then you just have to do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and then try and just figure out the option, because there is no logic in what we call guesswork, right? So then just go ahead. Now, can anyone tell me, based on the sentence, the broad meaning of this word? Inscrutable, broad meaning, type, speak, whatever it is. Does everyone have talking permissions? Excellent, great. So type, speak, whatever it is. Interstellar, Inception, The Matrix. And look at the hint, further hint for us. The fact that they are inscrutable means what? People need to watch them multiple times to make sense of the stories. No. So Arnav, you have to just modify that, what you wrote, a little bit, because that is your state of mind. But I'm asking about the reverse, which is the property of the movie itself. You are perplexed, but the movie is. Something like indecipherable, difficult to understand, perplexing, confounding, stuff like that, right? Obviously, you will not have the meaning A, B, C, D and say, what is the answer? You will have an option A that says simple, or B that says indecipherable, or C that says cryptic, or D that says mysterious. Wait a minute. B is indecipherable, C is cryptic, which again means confusing, and D is mysterious. Oh, probably then the question is, which of the following is not a synonym? Understand that if you've got multiple options, sometimes what happens is in your haste, you fail to read the directions. So you're looking at three options and like, wait a minute, all these three words seem familiar. So your answer is actually the simple one. Getting it? So please, 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 I cannot stress this enough. Make sure to read the instructions. No matter which exam you're taking, please read the instructions, because otherwise you take all this effort to learn so much vocabulary and you guess the meaning properly, clearly, and then you know the meanings of the options as well. And then, oh, I didn't read them. That shouldn't happen. Okay, so just be careful. Look at the next word, discord. I think it's easy to understand. What is discord? Disagreement, okay. Conflict is great. Argument could be great. Altercation could be great. Fight, slightly more aggressive. But words like fight or argument or basically lack of harmony. And something extra that you can, while solving the practice questions like these, you can figure out is what could then be the opposite of discord. If I say the discordant, D-A-N-T, is the adjective of discord, then what's the opposite of discordant? Okay, I'll give you a guess. If I say that there is a word called advantageous, what's the opposite of that? Disadvantageous. Correct? If I say satisfied, opposite is dissatisfied. So if I've been given the opposite, discordant, you know the word. Synonym, antonym. Discordant.
Cordant.
Cordial. Cordial. It's a slight twist in the spelling, but cordial. Cordial relationships. Ever heard of it? Somewhere around newspapers or whatever. Yes, no, right? So cordial is what we are looking for. Point is that looking at a word like this on this slide will give you access to probably one or two extra words if you know you've been reading a lot. Okay, so that takes care of discord. Look at this one, pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Appended a post-it note on the study table. What would you do to the note? Place, put it up, or pin it. Something that denotes attachment. It's not placing it. Okay, it's sticking it. Right? Stick. Post-it notes, the yellow ones with one side tape. There's a reason. I didn't just put a sheet. I said post-it note. Okay. So understand the context. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Understand that it says post-it note for a reason. Because I'm not looking at here's some random piece of paper and I just place it on my study table. That's not what we are looking for. Because it says post-it note, stick. Okay. Something else that you append to, maybe on envelopes, is what? Not the thumbprint, but what do you append to on envelopes? Okay, I know no one uses envelopes anymore, but still, what are we looking at? Stamps, absolutely, right? So that takes care of slide number 1, right? Now, I do have more words, but what I will do is I will try and come back to them after I finish off all the rest of the bits that I want to discuss. So we'll just go on to the next question type. 1 second. Something that can come up is fill in the blanks, right? Now, Obviously, I don't need to give you a lot of gyan on how to solve a fill-in-the-blank question, but I guess you know first of all how to solve it. So same philosophy. Look at the sentence and figure out the direction that the blank should take. Something that suggests blah blah blah. Look at this one. They were usually dash and friendly, but there is something that is bothering them today, and that's why they are silent. So the fact that it says and friendly suggests what? That they used to make noise or they were energetic, something like that, right? Or at least they weren't silent in simple terms, right? So if I give you options like this, what can definitely not be the answer? At least tell me that. Definitely not the answer. Definitely not the answer. Instinctive, because instinct has got nothing to do with actually speaking or not speaking either way, right? So instinctive is ruled out. People, listen to my question. I'm asking you what cannot be the answer. Okay. C is instinctive. C can be ruled out. And from what we've seen regarding inscrutable, cryptic can be ruled out. Mysterious, etc. So C and D are ruled out. Now I have two words, soliloquy and loquacious. Unlikely that we know the meanings of soliloquy and loquacious, but at least we know that the answer has to be between A and B. Okay, so that's number one. You try and ensure that you take an educated guess and not just a random eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, now if you mark A and the answer turns out to be B or vice versa at this stage and you get it wrong, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But at least don't mark something silly like C or D. That's the objective as of today. Now, a nice way to remember the meanings of words is through the concept of etymology. In short, that says you divide the word into smaller parts and then probably try and guess the direction that the meaning should take. For example, if you look at both these words, soliloquy and loquacious, there is a root called loc, L-O-C, which is actually a Greek root called L-O-Q-U-O-R, loquior. It's also used as L-O-C sometimes, both of which mean to talk. Okay, if you want, I'll just write that down in the chat box. You don't need to know the Greek part of it. All that you need to know is L-O-C and L-O-Q, both of which are roots that mean to talk. Then that doesn't help us because loc, talk, soliloquy, loc, talk, loquacious, both still refer to something regarding talking. So what am I supposed to mark? I then dig deeper and look at the first word. What does it tell us? Soliloquy, which has in the first half something hidden in it called solo. So what could be the potential meaning of the word soliloquy? To talk, yes, but to talk to oneself. So when you look in the bathroom mirror and say, I am strong, I am amazing, I will rock this day, I'm going to do everything that is in my power to make this day great. Like Rocky and motivation, when you look in the mirror and motivate yourself, that's called soliloquy. All right, a talk to oneself. It's not a talk by oneself. Okay, so a talk to oneself is soliloquy, and loquacious is the word we are looking for. That means talkative. Okay, simple. So when we come to vocab sessions, we'll have a lot more depth on roots and how we can develop our vocabulary, easy ways to remember these 100,000 words in the English language. All of those things will happen in due course. But this is just a sort of teaser as to what to expect. How about this one? Guess. Guess the direction this meaning should take. Something that suggests what. It's okay if you don't give me one word for it. Direction. Okay, Arnav, look at the words given to us. Unavoidable, unpredictable means we are looking at adjectives. Disturbance. Okay, so again the same thing, Yashraj. Look at the adjectives given to us. Unavoidable, unpredictable. So the words you have given, uncertainty, probably doesn't work. Okay, so maybe I can take uncertain, but outcomes are the things that are uncertain. Okay, something that you plan for beforehand is what I need to know in the blank. Okay, so that's like saying I'm going to ask my crush out for a cup of coffee. The outcome is uncertain whether she will say yes or no. But if you planned for it beforehand, then that is the word we are looking for. Something I planned for, but the opposite happened. I could not have planned for it. Think, try and at least tell me what could not be the answer.
Mild could not be an answer.
Mind is silly. Roasting is absolutely not connected. Now I've got two words, fortuitous and surreptitious. Absolutely no idea what these two mean. But try and look at the word fortuitous. Try and look at the word fortuitous. Is there something hidden as an English word in fortuitous? Fortune. So fortuitous could mean fortunate or unfortunate depending on the sentence. So that's how you guess that the answer is C. Now look at surreptitious. Even in this there is a word hidden. Not from the beginning but somewhere in the middle. Surreptitious. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Remove the first three letters. Remove the first three letters.
Repetition.
Look at the spelling of what's left, Pita. Remove the first three letters. See the spelling of what's left. Repetition is spelled R-E-P-E. So if I just look at R-E-P-T-I-E.
Repetitive.
Again, better the same thing. R-E-P-E-T-I is the spelling of repetition, repetitive, etc. What about R-E-P-T-I? Any words starting with R-E-P-T-I? Come on. Yashraj, okay. Reptile. If I look at a snake, for example, as a reptile, how does it move? In a surreptitious manner means what? It slithers. Lizards are also reptiles, they slither. If you are saying slither, means what are they doing? They are moving in a sneaky manner. Surreptitious means what? Sneaky, suspicious, etc. Alright? Surreptitious means something that is perhaps secretive, or something that is hidden, or something that is a word you may know called covert, C-O-V-E-R-T, etc. Alright? So the word we are looking for is fortuitous. One way to remember the meanings of words is through what we call roots, as we just did for loquacious, soliloquy, etc. The other way is to try and find something hidden to guess the pattern and perhaps the meaning. See, again, in this case, you got lucky that the thought process is reptile and fortune and all of that. But it may not be for all the words that you see. Sometimes use root logic if you see it, sometimes use this, sometimes use that. I have no problem with which method you are using. But when you make a list of unfamiliar words and their meanings, you figure out what is the best way that you are likely to retain the meaning of that word. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. What sort of word should be there in this? Awe-inspiring visuals should be PlayStation 5, but never mind. More dash detail, awe-inspiring visuals. So something like what? Blurry, I guess. Blurry, right? Blurry or pixelated. That's what we need in the blank, right? People, I'm asking. I was there during your quant session, how interactive you were, and I felt okay, there is hope for my session also, but suddenly everyone's gone quiet, and I'm sad. Blurry, pixelated, can it come here? No, why? Because the rest of it is saying and awe-inspiring visuals. So clearly, we want a significant amount of detail, maybe something that is realistic details, or something like intricate details, or something like what's the word for it? What's the word?
The graphic.
Something like this. Minute details could also work. Graphic detail could also work. But the problem is with the word graphic. Graphic has another intonation with the word detail when you say it. Graphic means, how do I put this? It's got a little bit more to do with violence and something that is distasteful. So when your friends come and talk to you and say, dude, TMI, I don't need to know. They say, dude, see, I got into an accident. See, then the thing just hit me and there was a big cut and then blood was just pouring out. You could see the bone and you're like, don't get into so much graphic detail, right? So that is the connection with the word graphic if you mention it. That's why we would not necessary that we would go into that direction. Okay? How about this in this case? Fantastical, arm twisting, locutionary and clandestine. Clandestine, now that we've already done, is for sure not the answer. And I guess we are left with only one. People, what are we left with?
C.
C. Why, kiddo? Why C? Elocutionary. Have you heard of elocution competitions in your college?
So sorry, I meant A.
Did you misread it as revolutionary? Please tell
No,
me you did.
sir.
Okay, then probably you're just waking up. Maths, too much maths, and the hangover hasn't passed.
No, sir, I accidentally said C somehow. I wanted to say A.
Accidentally. Okay, fine. Elocutionary, if you look at the word itself, this is related to something we've just done a couple of minutes ago. I'm not blowing kisses to someone. Tell me, what did we... my gosh. LOC as a root, that means to talk. Something just done a couple of questions ago. Right? To talk or speak. And we have E as a root. One second, I'm just typing something. E, C. Okay. What's an elocution competition, people, in your schools when it happens? What happens in an elocution competition? Speech, thank you, but it's a little bit more than that. Competition with judges, the way you speak. I agree, that's all right, but there's something specific to elocution.
To talk about a given topic.
Absolutely, that's the gist of it. But there's something more specific to elocution. As a competition, you're not given a week to prepare on the topic, right?
It's then and there.
You're not given,
They give you a topic there.
Right then and there. So that is your extempo or impromptu public speaking. So I'm looking for the word impromptu or something that is on the spot, right? That's the feature of elocution. Why is that the feature though? So if I want you to speak out what is on your mind, quickly, 30 seconds, talk. So that is why it's called elocution, because of the root that is left. Okay, by that logic we are left with only one option called fantastical. Everyone clear how we get elocution?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, can't say.
Yes, sir.
All right, now a verbal reasoning question appears in the form of a topic called para-jumbles. Okay, paragraph jumbles says what is that? I've got 4 sentences. In this case, it's labeled A, B, C, D, and I've got 4 options. Notice it says D, C, D, A, D, A, C, D, etc. What this says is that these 4 sentences A, B, C, D are in some sort of jumbled order, and you have to figure out a way to rearrange them into what is called a logically coherent sequence. Is the objective of the question clear, what it's asking of you? Or would you like me to repeat? Forget the answers and all, that's later. Is the objective of the question clear, what it's asking of you? Yes,
Yes,
no?
sir.
Okay. Now, I've got 4 sentences, A, B, C, D. How do I know that, okay, boss, A is the first sentence, then D is the second one, whatever? No need to solve the entire question. Start with the options. Look at all the options. What does it tell you? That, okay, boss, D is the starting sentence or B. All right. So let's start with D. Can it be the starting sentence? I intended to do blah, 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 and asked for a popular shampoo mixture. Okay. I don't know what this could be. Now look at the C sentence. C sentence that says then while the pharmacist. This keyword then, forget the rest of it. The keyword then tells us what? Generally the keyword then suggests what? It will come after a sentence. Means what? First X has to come, then Y happened. Right? Now, based on C, can you tell me what should be the sentence before it perhaps? Can it be D and C? Can it be D and C? Can it be A and C? Can it be, as per the options, B and C? BC, BC or AC? No idea. Okay, no problem. Let's look at AC as a link one by one. I swallowed the shampoo. Then he gave me a shampoo. Wait, can't be AC for sure. First, the pharmacist has to give you the shampoo, then you swallow it. So A has to be somewhere after C. And if you look at it closely, then that tells me that DC is my set. Right? I entered the pharmacy, then I inquired about something else while the pharmacist was doing something. And then, if you notice, there is B. Right? The man shuffled. Clear so far what I'm trying to say? Clear so far? Anmol beta, why AC? I have to first get the shampoo, then I swallow the shampoo, right? The pharmacist has to wrap up the bottle of shampoo, then I have to drink it.
Okay,
Clear?
sir. Yes, sir.
So that's why I now know that D has to be followed by C, and then C has to be followed by B. The moment I get that, do I see DCB as a triplet anywhere? DCB as a triplet, do I see it anywhere? Only in one case, which is option A. You may not have to solve the entire sequence. All you need to do is try and take a few pairs here and there and then start knocking off the options. Okay, this is an MCQ. The expectation is not necessarily to solve the entire question, it's to find the correct option in the shortest time possible. Take a look at this. Look at the options. What do the options tell me? That C could be the lead, or D could be the lead, or E could be the lead. Okay. Now look at the word B. Look at the sentence B. Sorry, sentence B. In other words, what does the phrase "in other words" mean? What does the sentence "in other words" mean? When would I write "in other words"? Same thing can be said as. So in terms of parajumbles, if a sentence starts with B that says "in other words," what do I know? That before that, I need to give a longer explanation perhaps, or some sort of explanation of the thing in B. Now, look at intelligence tests. Give us a norm for each age. Is there any indication of something related to ages and intelligence in the remaining sentences? Intelligence and test and whatever. Sentence C has a hint and sentence D has a hint, intelligence test. So does sentence E. But each age, if I look at B a little bit closer, what seems to be the better fit before C, sorry, before B? What seems to be the fit for the sentence B before it? Each age, there's only one sentence, right? CB. Now, immediately look at the options. How many options have CB as a set? CB as a set? Only options C and D?
Yes.
Right? And if you look at A, since then, tests have been used since when? Today morning, 3 years ago. Since when? Since when? CB is there as a set, that's not going anywhere. Since when have intelligence tests been used? I need some sort of time reference before A. What does that tell you? If I need some sort of time reference, I woke up at 7 a.m. Since then, I have done this, I have done this, I have done this. So I have to say 7 a.m. before since then, right? Is there any time reference given in the remaining sentences?
Sir, in D.
In D, early 1900s. Any other sentences? Not quite. So if DA is now my set, if DA is also a set, what do I do?
So the answer would be C then.
End of story. There is a longer explanation for this. You start with E, then you go. I don't want to get into that. The arrows are just as indicators for you that, okay, these are the connections you can make. But the moment you find DA and the moment you find CB, you're done. Sorted. But more importantly, is everyone clear with the thought process I'm using?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, more such hints, etc., are there. All right. So let's not get into them right now, because otherwise this session will go on for a long time. So let's just push forward to the passage section. Now, in terms of passages, you've got a couple of question types that you can get. One of the more classic questions is called the main idea question type. So, which of the following is the central idea of the passage, or state the author's primary purpose, things like that. If you get at the end of the passage, that's called a main idea question. Now, without reading the passage, obviously you cannot get the answer to a main idea question. So if you are of the philosophy that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to read the passage, I'm going to look at the questions, try to hunt for the keywords, and then go back to the passage, because let's say you're short on time. In that case, if a question comes up that says main idea, please don't mark the answer to that question, because without reading the entire passage properly, you will not be able to answer this question correctly. Okay. So if you are following the read first, then answer the questions approach, that's great. But if you're following the look at the questions first and then go to the passage for keywords approach, then stay away. Okay. Now, this is your paragraph. I haven't given a passage because otherwise the passage alone will be 4 slides long. Look at the paragraph, read it, and tell me what could be the main idea of the passage, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Again, this is just an indication. This is not going to be the actual length of the passage, but at least this one we should get correct. It's straightforward. All right. Okay. I think everyone seems to have the same idea. So we'll just go ahead and look at the questions. The options. The Rhone Glacier is melting faster than ever before. Nothing mentioned about it. Glaciers are in danger of melting if we don't halt global warming. Nothing mentioned. Explain how Swiss scientists understood the origins of glaciers. Again, nothing mentioned. Some background of glaciers are mentioned. Yes. And raise concerns about the future. Wait, where is the future part? One day we may not have any room for glaciers. That's great. So my answer is a straightforward option 4. Right. Now, again, the objective is not to say that this is what you can expect in the exams. But if you're getting here quickly, then I guess we should not have any problem in the actual preparation. All right. The next common question type is something called an inference question type. In simple terms, an inference is something that you are deriving based on what has been given in the passage, but something that is not a repetition. Say, for example, if my passage says A equal to B, right? My inference cannot be B equal to A, in the sense that restatements cannot be inferences. An inference is something that is an unknown derived from a known. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Harmeet sir said that, okay guys, the next session will be verbal, right? And he said the next session will be taken by Abhishek. These are the two knowns. The next session is verbal, the next session will be taken by Abhishek. What can you derive from this, or what can you infer from this? The unknown is that Abhishek is the verbal guy. Getting my point roughly? What's an inference clear?
Yes, sir.
Broadly, again, broadly is what I'm looking at. There is a little bit more stuff in inferences and how to solve them and blah, blah, blah. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what do you mean by an inference. Nowhere in the passage does it say that Abhishek is the verbal guy. But based on what has been given, it's easy to deduce that information, that Abhishek is the verbal guy. Right? Now, based on the information in the passage, what can I infer? Oh, some people lost talking permissions. Sorry. Yeah. What can we infer? It's the same passage. There's no change in the information. Sorry, which one?
3.
3. Okay. Rest of us? What do we think? 3 or 4? Okay. Now, 3, I think we can guess. In Switzerland, you could venture into the belly of this glacier through this hotel. Means what? The hotel is likely to be in Switzerland. 3 looks good. Look at 4. They had become tourist attractions. But is tourism in Switzerland dependent on glaciers like the Rhone Glacier? My problem is not the tourism part. My problem is the dependent part. That's like if that glacier shuts down, then tourism will take a major hit. Yes, Raj. Is that given to us? It's an interaction, no doubt, but the dependency is not. So that's why we cannot deduce or infer that the dependency exists. So I'm stuck with 3. Right? That's pretty obvious. Pray in your passages that you get more of the next type of questions called the specific detail questions. Specific detail questions are nothing but your copy paste questions. All right. Say, for example, in the Hotel Belvedere, or rather through the tunnels of the Hotel Belvedere, people saw which glacier or catch a glimpse of which glacier A, B, C, D. And you're like, wait, that's just like it's given to me. Just paste that word, right? So pray that in your passages you get more of these questions. But of course, it's necessary to prepare for all types. But these sorts of questions we should not get incorrectly because, oh, I misread the question or something like that, right? So in such cases, just copy paste the option from the keywords of the passage. Again, by the late 19th century, what had they become? And you're like, wait, is that really that simple? Yes, it is. Relax. Sometimes the answers can be as simple as they come, right? Again, they are a bit too simple because using a paragraph of a couple of lines, it's difficult to come up with rather tough questions. But broadly, we just wanted to give you a feel of what we mean by something like a passage, specific detailed question of a passage. Okay. Now, grammar isn't mentioned here, but we do have grammar questions that are based on things like tenses or something called pronouns and something called parallelism and stuff like that. So we will do more questions and more topics and all eventually. But like I said, the idea of this was to give you an idea of vocab, which we did in the fill in the blanks and all of that. A little bit of verbal reasoning, which is a weird question type called a para-jumble, and a couple of different types of RC questions that can come up. Of course, the grammar bits, this, that, all will be there, but it's just that there's no time for all of that. So just make sure to keep an eye out for these couple of sessions that even Harmeet sir talked about, which is regarding your law, economics, etc. So that's number 1. The second thing which sir talked about was the zero fee program. Now, the zero fee program is something like a trailer of sorts where you can enroll for the course, and I'll tell you how to do that. There's a new share option somewhere. Where is it? Yes. So if you click on the enroll now button, you'll be directed to this form where you just have to fill in your information, and that's about it. So what happens is you get a couple of sessions ke videos, and then you can just go through them and take a feel of how we teach you all of this stuff. And hold on, how we teach you all of this stuff, and some things like extra videos and maybe a mock somewhere here and there. So that's probably something that you can take a feel of, and of course your parents can also check it out to see if it makes sense. And then that will become converted into the permanent thing with bunch of more videos and stuff like that. So all of this is there. Try to at least get yourself registered for the zero fee program so that you can take a feel in case there is a rare chance that you might have to do things online. Then you will get a feel of how the online product looks and the sorts of questions we have, the facilities we have, stuff like that. It's more of a trailer teaser of sorts. So take a look at the zero fee program. I think some sort of link should be visible to you. That's number 2. And of course, finally, like sir said, mutually beneficial association in terms of getting your friends on board for the course, and that will give you a couple of vouchers, and then that person gets it stuff. So it's like a win-win situation for the both of us. Make sure that you try and get yourselves enrolled for the zero fee program by reaching out to your nearest IMS center. And I guess that's about it. So later on, we will discuss maybe in a future session the vocab tips and more roots and how to solve grammar and stuff like that. But for now, we are done. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end, and all the best to all of you.